Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade and this is How to App on iOS. And today we have the amazing Maezend Music Lab to talk about his brand new album, Tentacles. The show's sponsored by DistroKid. We're kicking off with a track called Prowl. Let's Oge. Hi, my name is Jade and this is How to App on iOS and I hope you're all doing okay. We just heard from Maezend Music Lab, our guest today, and that was Proud. What a killer song, yeah. Today's show, my friends, as usual, twice a month here on the channel is sponsored by our good friends at DistroKid. DistroKid are an amazing service that give you the opportunity to release your music to all of the major streaming services for an incredibly low price of $22.99 annually. But see that code over there in the corner, distrokid.com/VIP/JadeStarr. If you use that for your first year, you will get 7% off your first year, and you get all of this for $22.99. You get to use one artist name, upload unlimited lyrics, you get a Spotify verified checkmark, royalty split so you can split with other artists that you may have collaborated with, access to 21 free tools to help promote your music, a free mobile app, and that is incredible stuff. So if you want to get your music heard, definitely use DistroKid. They are an amazing sponsor. I want to thank them for sponsoring the show, and we'll hear from them a little bit later on in the show. Yes, indeed. All right, back over here to me. So I've already had this amazing artist here on the program a little while ago for a full interview. If you want to go and check that out, hit the little thing up in the top corner there and you can go and check out that full interview. But today I just wanted to have Maezend Music Lab back on the show, aka Jude, to talk about this incredible album that he's finally dropped on us all called Tentacles. So without further ado, let's bring him on and get him talking about this fantastic album. Ladies and gentlemen, tables and chairs, let's do it. This is Jude Capana. Let's Oge. Jude, welcome, my friend.
Hi, Jade. Hi, everyone out there.
I hope you're doing good.
Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. Thank you for spending some time with me. And, you know, thank you. Last time we had you on and we deep dove into everything about you. So we're not doing that today. We're just talking about music. And how good does it feel to have this album out?
It feels great. It really does. Boy, it's a long time coming. 10 to 12 years writing and recording music and releasing it in private groups. A couple of years ago, I finally got the nerve to go into YouTube. And then, lo and behold, Mike Haggith came along and heard one of my songs and said, if you got 7 or 8 more of these, we can put out an album. And that's kind of what I needed. I needed someone that was going to take the reins and pick the songs and do the sequencing. And he kind of made it easy, as difficult as every little decision was for me. He really did do a lot of work on his end and made it happen, really.
It sure has been an amazing journey, I have to admit. I've known you for a few years now and watched your growth as a musician. And I remember, you've been a little bit, maybe you still are, a little bit timid about your music but to see it finally come together and, the branding you have around everything you do is just, it's a beautiful thing to see it mature. And I'm so glad that Mike gave you the push because it excited me seeing, hey, we got the album, the Octopus, we got it all there, the brand. We'll talk a little bit about that. So if I was your CEO and I was heading down the elevator for my lunch and you were just a drone in my business and you happened to be in the elevator and this was your 2-minute chance to tell me just who the bloody hell you are, what would be your elevator pitch for Maezend Music Lab?
I guess I would just call us like a one-man virtual band, sort of a collective, if I can bring on other artists to create something, eclectic, hopefully, ideally, and, maybe stumble into something that might be completely new, perhaps. We call it Maezend Music Lab. I named my property Maezend when we rebuilt after a flood. We're at the dead end of May Avenue, so MAE. So I came up with the word Maezend and thought it sounded cool for the property. And then when it came time to pick a band name, that was actually just a page name on Facebook and for my friends to share their music and my music. And then I just kind of took it on as my virtual band name.
How would you describe your musical style, your genre?
I hate that. I hate that. I came up with the term genre because I like the idea of not having a genre, but I understand the usefulness of having a genre or multiple genres. I like the idea of bending genres. I'm not a purist. I like to mix odd things that may not be thought to be mixed together, the juxtaposition of the two things, like maybe a banjo and a synthesizer, or like a hip hop beat with something more acoustic. And it's really nothing new. But again, my hopes are that I'll stumble onto something new, and that's part of the music lab part is, everything's an experiment, and they say you grow by failing. Then I should be growing exponentially because I fail quite often.
I think you have. I think you've grown heaps since I've known you. I really love how your music. I think your music's got a lot tighter in production as well, but it's still you've maintained. It's always to me had a very old school flavor. Like I don't know, your drums always just give me this old school groove. It's like a warm cup of Milo. You probably wouldn't know what Milo is. It's like hot chocolate, but yeah.
That's nice. I like that.
So
thank you.
I want to ask about the first song. What was Prowl? What was the inspiration behind Prowl and how that all came together? What's that song mean to you?
I gotta say, Prowl is really just one of the few instrumentals that I put out there, and especially it's the only instrumental on the album. And it was a while ago. I think it may have been an experiment. Most instrumentals are just me messing around maybe with a beat and then some MIDI instruments, and it does have some live electric guitar, lead guitar, and it's just I guess it kind of represents. I would like it to represent my sound in a way that it's kind of mysterious, and I think that's why I gave it the name Prowl. It has kind of like a dark, mysterious groove to it, and then the electric guitar has some kind of bluesy psychedelia in there, and I kind of like those flavors thrown in.
It's a great song. I mean, I love this album. I really do. Again, I can't state how exciting it was to see this coming out and to know it was going to be on vinyl. And all. It was just, Yeah, it excites me so much to see someone I've known for so long who's so consistently put out good music finally get to this point of, I don't know, it just felt like a major release to me in this small universe of where we hang.
And this is a great opportunity for me. And I know you didn't ask for this, but you were a big proponent of just telling me to own it, go forward, just, be strong about it and do it. Put it out there for everyone to hear. And, that gave me a lot of confidence in having you say that to me. So thank you.
Thank you. That makes me very happy. That's what this show is all about. It's always been about that. So it's a 9-track album. It's called Tentacles. And what is the overall concept of this album for you? Or is there no overall concept?
It's no overall concept because the songs were picked by Michael because of the way they sounded. I think about, the quality, the songs that rose to the top and didn't have any kind of, sounds that might be jarring to put on vinyl. So those got ruled out. So I just recently listened to it front to back with my wife at our little breakfast bar over a couple of drinks. And I've listened to it a couple other times, but not so intently as that time. And it definitely has themes and currents because I think a lot of my music does. There's some definite dark tones to it. There's definitely some marital or relationship insecurities and things that happen along those lines. But it's a lot like my songs. Sometimes I don't know what they're about, and right. After I record them, I'll listen back and they'll start to come together. And I don't know if it's just my brain piecing them together after the fact, but I feel like they unveil themselves to me. And the album sort of has definitely ribbons of themes, and I'm really happy with how it all sequenced together. You did a great job doing that.
I find it very interesting because, in my opinion, you can shoot me down if you think I'm talking crap here, but you seem like you like a little bit of control over your music. I'm not going to call you a control freak, right? I'm not going that far. So how was that like letting go to someone like Mike and saying, all right, because you said, I'm guessing, he put together the concept, picked the songs and suggest them to you. How was that letting go and letting someone like that put them together? And did it come out like you imagined?
Yeah, it was freeing because if he picked the songs that I would have picked, then it's a no-brainer. And he picked two that I wouldn't have picked. And it took me a while to come around and say, can we please just replace them with these two? And he was all about it. It's always about me and what I want to say on the album. And he was great in that way. So he took the heavy lifting on. And at that point, it was easy for me to look back in hindsight and say, these two might want to be replaced. And he really loved the choices that I suggested for replacing. And so, there was some control along the way. He gave me all the artistic reign to do everything. And, I relied on Tobias Reese a lot for bouncing my artwork off of him, and his feedback was great help. So, there was a little bit of letting go of control.
I love that. I think it's an important thing in music to be able to have a step back and have perspective and be able to. And sometimes you're so biased you can't look out and step back and look back in. And having somebody you trust is worth more than $1 million.
I was just about to say that word. There was a lot of trust. Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to play another track, and we're going to play Crooked. Do you want to let us know about Crooked before we play it?
No, let's hear it first.
Yeah, let's hear it first. Spoken by the man himself. All right, folks, buckle yourselves in. This is Crooked by Maezend Music Lab. Let's oja. Okay, so that was Crooked by Maezend Music Lab, and let's bring him back on here. Tell us what it was all about, my friend.
I'm going to leave that up to the listener. Now, I'll give you some insight. Really, that was one that I was writing, and I think the opening line is "Your mind has turned dark lately," and I was writing it as my mind had turned dark lately. And a co-writing friend of mine at the time said, if you turn it from I or me or my to you or they and make the song more about the listener, it might get more attention. And I actually took that advice and I used it a couple times, and this song was one of them. And it was one that I didn't know what I was writing about when I started writing about it, other than my dark mind and the crooked path that I was on. But now it wasn't me, it was you. So it kind of developed that way.
Right.
And then, it could be about many different things, but I like the idea of the listener being a collaborator in this sense and coming up with, however it applies to their life and whatever crooked path they're on right now.
Asking the questions about what songs mean is always a tough one for me because being a musician myself, I hate the question because I write a lot of stuff that is ambiguous and I want people to make that up themselves. And the other thing is when people don't know and they hear it, then they tend to create their own idea of the song, and then when you have the artist on and they tell you what it's actually about, it kind of breaks the universe for them. So it's a tough one to do it. So I always feel weird. Should I ask or should I not? And then some people go, I want to know what the artist thinks or what it's actually about. So it's a tough one to talk about that stuff. I want to know about the recording process. So were these songs, so there's 9 tracks on the album, were they recorded close together, or was this over a period of time and then remixed and put together? How was it all done?
It was over a period of time. They were definitely just songs that were not in any way meant to be connected together. But as I said, after they've been put together now, I feel like they have a common theme or at least some shared themes. But they were recorded over, let's say, from 2020 to 2023. I think Ink is the newest one. And it's just my home recording process that has evolved over the years of me just laying tracks on top of tracks. I'll loop myself. Many of the rhythm sections, rhythm guitar, I'll loop, and then I'll play over top of that some leads to give it a more organic feel. But I always struggled with getting through a song back in the day before I was on a DAW and had to get through a full song without messing up, or at least not messing up too bad. It just took me forever, and I hated that. So once I got the DAW, it was great to be able to chop it into loops, and then I could also change the structure, move things around a lot, and I got pretty decent at doing that.
And is there a particular DAW that you are using, computer, tablet? What is it that you use? Interfaces, guitars? What's the deal?
Everything for the album has been recorded on Logic Pro.
Nice.
I do use a Scarlett interface, Rode NT1A microphone. I think pretty much all the songs were recorded on that for vocals and any acoustic guitar. That's about it. I started on GarageBand, but then quickly moved to Logic.
How was the jump from GarageBand to Logic? Because I see it all the time in like Facebook groups and stuff that people have got this fear of moving on and because, it seems a little bit too hard, but so many people who do make that jump, they don't regret it.
Oh, and that's why I did it so quickly. I was a novice at GarageBand, so I figured before I got too used to the GarageBand interface, and they're both Apple, so they look very similar, which was also kind of helped the transition be a little more seamless. But I also around that time saw an advertisement for electronic music recording classes, and it was via Logic Pro, and it was a local community college, and I went and took a couple of classes, and then COVID hit, and I took a couple private classes with that same instructor and learned a few tricks that I definitely overuse in all my songs, but maybe it's helped give me that sound. And again, I'm just practicing, but I'm recording them and putting them out there as I practice.
Well, it's funny, I do this show every day and talk about apps, and I say it every day. Apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need them all. Even though I'm sitting here showing you a new one nearly every day, it doesn't mean you have to get it. because a lot of producers have go-to tools that they use. Like they'll use the same compressor with the same settings, or they might use two compressors together. Is there a setting that you have in Logic that you put on, say, on your vocals every single time? Is there that comfort plug-in that you put on there every time? And
There is, and I'm glad you brought that up because, just from being in the GarageBand community and other communities, just hearing horror stories of when the update comes and then their plugins don't work. And so therefore, I've not purchased any third-party plugins. Everything is stock. I don't need to mess around with any of that stuff. I have enough troubles as it is. But a while back, Jerry Marsh, who's on the album on Bird on Fire, he was lamenting over his latency issues. And through those conversations, he mentioned the adaptive limiter. And I didn't know what that was, but I looked into it. And I use that thing on almost everything, not everything, but certainly vocals, and then the master track as well. And man, that thing, I don't know what it does. It kind of like makes everything louder without being a volume knob.
Yeah.
I mean, you just hear the instruments better to me.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm overusing it. I don't know.
No. The thing is, well, that's the thing. Like, people can say, oh, you shouldn't use that. But it doesn't come down to what you should or shouldn't use. It comes down to what you hear. And if it sounds great in your ears, that's the most important thing. I mean, I did a show on here where I used 2 or 3 compressors on my vocals. And some people were like, what? You use 2 or 3? And I'm like, you probably haven't been to a recording studio. They have racks of compressors, and sometimes on a vocal they'll have 6 compressors running. Like, it's not, but I do think it's interesting that we have these go-to plugins because, we are constantly bombarded with buy this new thing, buy this new thing, buy this new thing. And even though you do buy all the new things, you still end up like having, if you have 5 friends in your life, you're doing pretty good. If you can count 5 friends on one hand, and it's the same with plugins, I think,
There's also something in the compressor, at least in the Logic compressors, all the different ones they all have on the right side, there's that little limiter button, which I typically will hit. And then there's a knob, I think it's for distortion. And if you go one up from, I think, soft to maybe hard, it definitely adds like a saturation.
Yeah.
And again, a good volume bump. So I just gave away my 2 biggest tricks.
Wow, I love it. Let's talk about, so you mentioned Jerry was on the album. So who were some of the celebrities that have been involved in putting together this album with you, made performances or helped produce? Give us the list.
Well, the song Bird on Fire features Jerry Marsh. He heard my demo version and really liked it, as I was hoping he would, because I kind of wrote it with him in mind. And he laid down like pads, keyboards, and like great backing vocals with like a nice outro vocal track take. And on that same track is Ron Ward played electric guitar. And then I gave the track to David Asher, and he replaced my bass with his bass and tightened up the mix quite a bit. I think those are still my original Logic drums that he left in there. So that's it on that track. And then on the track Woke is Tobias H. Reese playing a wicked lead guitar. So also, again, I gave some writing credit to Brad Example, because through the conversation with him about that song, he just threw out a couple of lines that I couldn't not use because they were too good. And I couldn't not give him credit because they were too good. And I think it was the, don't go sleepwalking in the past, get your head out of the sand. That line there.
There's something about Brad. Brad writes some words that he is a poet and he really doesn't know it. I mean, I'm his close friend. I chat with him every day on voice chat. And it's amazing some of the stuff that he comes out musically. But when I chat with him, normally he's not that much of a poet, let me tell you that. He's a complete.
He channels it into his creativity.
Yeah. All the rest of his chatting is all about the old days of rock and roll and girls and stuff. You really want to just block your ears when he's talking about it. We are going to play another track, and we're going to play Ink. And I love this one. I love the video clip from it as well. So let's get to it. Let's play it right now. We'll see you back here shortly. That's Oge.
Your mind is dark. I like the way you think. Tell me another one, but first I need a drink. Your heart is cold, I can feel it from here. With the vibe that you're giving off, you're not making it clear. You're dragging me down, we're starting to sing. Things are getting murky and dark, dark as ink. Your mind is dark, I like the way you think. Tell me another one, but first I need a drink. Your heart is cold, I can feel it from here. With the vibe that you're giving off, you're not making it clear. Dragging me down, we're starting to sing. Things are getting murky and dark, dark as ink. Things are getting murky and dark, dark as ink.
So that was Ink by Maezend Music Lab, and I'm sure you'll agree, another killer track from the album. Is there anything in that song that any kind of story or something memorable you have about recording it, or that makes it special?
It was just one of those songs that I had the idea for writing a song named Ink, since I have the octopus as my musical mascot. His name is Murky. And so it was something that I just sat down to write a song called Ink, and then just developed the theme of dark as ink, and thought that kind of set me down a path of some dark themes. There's two characters in the song, and you don't really know if one is good for the other or if the other one is attracted to the light or the darkness. And they kind of go syncing together. into the depths.
Speaking of branding, you have a song about branding, which I know myself and I know many other people love this thing. It's about creating a brand, and it really stands out to me. It's one of the things I think that I think pushed your music up another level, because not only that piece of music that you put out about making a brand, I felt was a great song, and the video clip was great, but I think it really got me thinking about the first time I heard it, about my brand and about who I am. And so how did that all come about? And I guess that is your brand now, isn't it? The Octopus, Murky, and all of that stuff. Did I get it right? Did I say it right?
You did. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And I've been building that since I think 2016 or 17, 18 is when I got the idea for the Octopus, started putting the logo together. But that song, that was around the time Ron Ward had the Homegrown Indie Live, and he was putting out a bunch of different logos all the time. And so it was kind of written with him in mind a little bit. But that line, I'm building a brand, said in that, or sung in that kind of David Byrne kind of way, just popped into my head, and I thought, oh, this would be a great song. I got to do this. And it just took off from there.
I'm building a brand. I'm building a brand. It's become the focus of my life. It's my latest grand plan. I'm building a brand. I'm concocting a scheme on a giant green screen. I'll be streaming it live to my 5-stone fans. I'm building a brand. I'm working on my logo. She's a majestical creature, floating to the vibes amongst the bubbles of speakers. I'm building a brand. I'm building a brand. It's become the focus of my life. It's my latest grand plan. I'm building a brand. I'm concocting a scheme on a giant green screen. I'll be streaming it live to my 5-stone fans. I'm building a brand. I'm working on my logo. I'm concocting a scheme. I'll be streaming it live to my 5-stone fans. I'm building a brand. I'm building a brand. I'm building a brand.
So we had Mike Haggarth on the show recently and talking about his fantastic music, and that, he's an independent label, which is just amazing. So how did you come across meeting up with Mike and then signing up with Morningstar Records? How was that whole process?
It was kind of seamless. It was really just a happenstance. Like I said, I was kind of scrolling through my videos on YouTube, and I saw maybe I was playing a couple, and I happened to play Crooked and remembered what a good song I think that is. And it had like 2 likes, which I don't care about that stuff, but like 2 likes, that seems like insulting. So, I've met a bunch of people since I first posted that song. Let me post it again, which I don't like to post old songs, but I did. And thank God I did, because Mike heard it and said, if you have 7 or 8 more like this, we can put out an album. So it was awesome. That's what I've been looking for the whole time. I honestly thought they might re-record all the songs like with professional musicians, but that's fine. It's all me, and that's cool too. And then he makes it kind of simple because there's no real contract. Anytime I want to leave, I can leave. And of course, I'll take my music down and it won't be distributed through him any longer. But while I'm under his contract or, under the label, it's a simple split of, whatever the percentage is, which again doesn't mean anything to me because, my mom might buy a CD and I'll buy two. So sorry, Mike, you're not going to get rich off me. But now I have a CD that I can send to my local music radio station that I listen to all the time. They're listener supported radio. It's not a commercial station. And I'll write something clever and it'll all happen from there.
I want to know, so did you obviously have a physical copy of the CD. Do you have a physical copy of it on vinyl as well?
I do, yes.
And I just want to know, because your feeling, I mean, I can tell you till the cows come home I can sit there and stare at my CD when it first drops and just hold it. Do you do that? Is it that warm, fuzzy feeling? Do you kind of flip it over and get excited?
Yes. There was a little bit of disappointment, and I shouldn't even bring this up, but I ordered 2 CDs and the record. And they packaged the CDs on top of the record without anything in between.
Oh, no.
So it put some like imprints on the front of the cover, which disappointed me a little bit. And because it's not it's not a pro record label, I guess where they fold it, it's white on the sides. And my record's very, very black and dark. And, I made it specifically dark. Mm-hmm. And to see that white edge just bothers me, which is, it's a little nitpicky thing. To hold my vinyl, my record, and I love the large format. I have a turntable or two, but I don't play vinyl that often. It was more about having just the large format, like you say. Even the CD is very cool. I mean, that has that third image on the inside cover when you open it up. But just a quick story, I lost all of my vinyl in the first flood. I actually still have the vinyl, but the covers and the sleeves and all that, to me, is more important than the vinyl.
Yeah.
And that just... like 4 of my friends cleaned all the vinyl and we had to discard all the covers and the sleeves and the programs from all the concerts. But so I'm building my collection back up, and now I have one of Maezend Music at Lab's albums.
It sucks, man. I was the same way. I had so many vinyl albums. I didn't lose them in a flood. I stupidly joined a band. And when you join a band, you got no money all the time. So inch by inch, I sold them all off. And then before long, I had nothing. And there were thousands of records just gone. But what a nice way to start building up your album collection again with your own album. Yeah. That's nice.
It's awesome.
So it's available from morningstarrecords.bigcartel.com, and I'll be showing it here on the screen for folks to see the album. It's on vinyl. It is on CD as well. I think vinyl is $40 USD, and I can't remember how much the CD is. I think it's at 10. I think so.
It's 10.
10. And so you got 9 songs on there. I'm interested, so because I talk about mastering a lot here on the channel, and a lot of people don't realize that, if you're mastering for streaming services, you have to remaster for vinyl because the grooves deal with bass differently. Who handled that for you? Who handled the remastering for the vinyl, or how was
Mike
that done?
Did that. I
Awesome.
guess he either did that all on his end or with the record company themselves. But yeah, he just sent me the digital version so that I could handle. He allows the artists to handle the streaming end themselves, which makes a lot of sense. So I just had the WAV files that I could then do the DistroKid thing, and he handled the 2 different masterings for the CD and the vinyl.
Awesome. I know somebody who didn't remaster their music and sent it off to get done in vinyl, and it was very bass heavy. And when they got it back, the needle was just jumping off the record. And I'm like, oh. Man, you got 500 of them. I'm so sorry.
And just if I could say right now, I was very hesitant about going back and trying to redo a bad take here or there, because that's my whole thing. Like I try not to do that. I feel like there's magic in those first or second or third takes, but not to redo. But I did go back and turned either up drums here and there, turned down some annoying sounds that were in woke. And so I did go back and do some adjustments to the mix, some based on things I heard after Mike sent me his masters, and some things he requested.
Awesome. So let's talk. So that's how you can get the vinyl. And Mike's label's really cool, as you said. And when he was on the show too, I mean, after I interviewed him, I was like hitting him up, going, "Hey, I think I might want to release something through you as well." So I've started talking to him as well too, because he's an awesome guy. And it was awesome having him on the show. So streaming, as he said when he was on here, you're handling the streaming. So you're putting that out through DistroKid, and everybody can get that on streaming services. How easy is it? Because they are today's sponsor. And, I like having artists on who are using DistroKid. Has it been easy to release your music through DistroKid? Is there any thing that's been beneficial when you're doing it, uploading it? Any problems? No problems.
No problems. I mean, that was the easiest part, actually, of the whole thing,
Right.
Laboring over like how I set a liner note, or, how much powder dust I put behind my logo on the front cover, like hours and hours. But DistroKid it was quick. It was easy. I honestly only did it and haven't gone back in there, but I can go back in and add like details and liner notes. Can I?
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can add producers, you can add everything. And I mean, I don't do that stuff.
I want to go back in there.
And lyrics,
and
all
just
that stuff
add
too.
a little bit. Yeah, lyrics maybe. That would be good. So I'd like to get more familiar with it, but I honestly just did that one upload and haven't gone back in, but it was pretty intuitive and very easy.
That's what we love to hear. And you guys right now are going to hear a little bit more from our good friends at DistroKid. Let's Oj. This presentation is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Introducing DistroKid, your ultimate music distribution solution. For just $29.99 a year, DistroKid empowers you to release unlimited tracks on all major music platforms worldwide, including Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, and so many more. Plus, use my link distrokid.com/VIP/JadeStarr and get 7% off your first year. You'll also keep 100% of your royalties and gain access to valuable tools like instant verification on Spotify and detailed revenue analytics. Don't let your music go unheard. Join DistroKid today and take your music career to the next level. Thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring today's presentation. And of course, I want to thank our wonderful sponsors here, DistroKid. And you know, DistroKid, I love you, DistroKid. But no, thank you so much for being a sponsor here on the channel. And now, before we did the interview today, we were talking about how when you release your music through DistroKid, it gets put to this topic channel. And I wanted to show you while we're here, and everybody else who's watching the show, you can fix that up here in DistroKid. So we'll bounce over here right now. And in all your tools up here, if you click, you'll see a section called Special Access. And if you scroll down, you'll find YouTube Official Artist Channel. You click on this, you select your artist, which would be yours. So I can select Jade Starr. And then it asks you, yes, I have a YouTube channel that contains content. Yes, I have a YouTube channel dedicated to your channel. So it would be that. And then you link, and it will then, I'm not sure exactly how long it takes. Sometimes it takes a week or two. And then what it does, it takes all those topic songs and it condenses them into your channel. So all your album stuff will be condensed into your channel. It's just another service.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah. See, they give you a lot for that $22.95 a year. It's pretty damn good. And yes, thank you, DistroKid. All right. So you've got a whole lot of video clips for the album. What was the process? How were these made after the album? Were they made over a period of time? Tell us how these were put together.
No, those were made as the songs were released. Again, those songs were done just in my normal process of releasing songs after I make them or after I feel like they're ready to be released. So they were released all different times throughout those, that window of time from 2020 to 2023. And it's just the normal, I started sharing music on YouTube, and you couldn't just share a song file. You had to share it with a video. So way back when I started making videos. Some are just an image, but most of them are either moving videos or slideshows that kind of morph from one into the other.
And do you go into, I find it interesting with, say some are just still images and some aren't. Is there a particular style you follow making video clips that you've found over time, or does it really depend on how you're feeling, or what's your method, and what kind of software do you use to make a video clip too?
I use a program called Video Pad Pro or Video Editor Pro, something like that. It's a really old looking program, but it's just one that I've grown comfortable with. And every time it's time to update, I say I'm going to switch to iMovie or something else, and I never do. I go back to the same stupid program. But it's primarily either I'll get videos from Canva, or I'll make portions of it in Canva with lyrics, and then bring it back into the video pad editor with my wave file of my song. And I might have some slides, and then I just kind of make some transparent and layer them over top of each other. But it really depends on the song. If I hear or see a good visual that can accompany the song, I'll start down that path. Sometimes I don't really have an idea, and I'll just start messing around and kind of build from there. I'd love to come up with a simpler way of just having something that was cool looking, but I didn't have to labor over every time I wanted to release a song.
And not AI that all looks the same these days.
I have to cancel that registry or that membership before October.
I'll just sign up with another one, but it's only to do a show on it because I want to point people to it to see it and all that stuff. All right, let's play another song, and then we'll wrap it all up. So we're going to play something. We'll talk about this before we play it. So this song's called Woke, and before we did the show today, were you a bit cautious about putting this song on the album? Because we live in strange times, Jude, and people are very strange at the moment, and it seems like being awake is a problem. So was this something that you were a bit cautious about?
I think I said that I did talk Mike into replacing 2 of the songs.
Right.
And that one I kept hinting towards, are you sure? Are you sure it's the right thing to do? I mean, I'm so proud of that song and what it stands for. But at the same time, I'm looking down history's shotgun, and I'm not sure where things are going, and I'm not sure how that song is going to age. But it really doesn't matter. I'm glad that we put it on the record. And again, it's more about terminology for me than anything else.
Yep.
Obviously, there's some political bullshit and baggage attached to it, and that has something to do with it. But really, the song was inspired by the way it's just being used for something that it has nothing to do with what it's being used for. So it's a frustration that bore out a great song.
And we're going to hear it right now, folks, and you're going to love it too. I love this one, and stay awake. So let's ouch.
flaw in your terminology. What the real meaning is, it's something that I do believe we should all aspire to. But they've got us all divided, and that's precisely the main reason to be woke. Get your head out of the sand. You should know. You should know. You should know. It's all part of the plan.
And that was Woke from Maezend Music Lab. And I hope you're awake right now and enjoying the show. All right, so we're getting close to the end of this. And so now that this is all said and done, all this work has gone into it, meeting up with Mike, putting together all the artwork. I should ask about that while we're here. What went into the artwork? I mean, you can tell the artwork has a lot of love. I can really see the artwork has a lot of love. Did you do all that yourself? How did the artwork come about?
I did it all myself. Most of the artwork and the creative process went into the rear cover because I knew the front cover. I wanted it to be my logo. I'm really proud of my logo and the fact that it's my debut album. I felt like it had to be my logo as big as possible. But I did add some, like, I'll call it like space dust behind it. So it's got like a little bit of a purplish cast behind it, which is a little bit different. The main logo is just a black background. And then the back cover, I found an image probably on Canva that was of tentacles, and I filled in the tentacles with the little speaker bubbles, or in this case, they're kind of acting as suction cups sort of on the tentacles on the back of the cover. And then I really labored over the placement of the songs and the font, and I'm just not great with that stuff. I'm a designer, but I'm not a graphic designer. So, and I don't have all the tools, but I'm really proud with the way it came out. And then there's a third image on the inside of the CD that, it's kind of a close-up of my studio, so you can see one monitor and maybe some synths and the side of my MacBook, but it's overlaid with probably that space dust again. And then another photo that I took of I think it was an 80s dance party outdoors, and there were all these cool lights going on, and the DJ, you can kind of see his reflection. You can't see any of that in the image, but I know it's in there. Yeah, right. It's layered in there.
I love it.
Took me forever to get that.
You know what I love about the logo too? Like, I love, like, it's an octopus, and when I first looked at it, it's like, it looks like there's bubbles floating up. And when you look closer, they're speakers. I love it, so because I got right into it last night when I was removing the background from it to, make the thumbnail and stuff. And was like, I never noticed they were speakers before. Really, just nice little touch. I really like that. So now that you said and done, you've gone through all this process. Was there a sigh of relief? Was there a bottle of champagne that opened, or just this? And then a sigh of relief, and then what next?
The way it all fell into place, there was no because I chose my wife's birthday as the release date. So there was the whole, really it was the Friday before, because you guys down there on the bottom half of the earth start a little earlier, and I didn't anticipate that. So it really dropped Friday night, which was kind of cool. That helped separate it. But then I didn't get my hard copies. So then I immediately bought it on Apple Music. So I had my digital copy, but and my buddy down in South Carolina got his, and I'm like, where's mine? So there was like all this weird stuff that it wasn't like, it was a decay of excitement, I guess. But there's definitely a relief and a thought that I might be able to do this again. But if I died tomorrow, I'm happy. I'm happy to get one out. And, that means the world to me. Definitely a bucket list thing.
Well, I'm glad to hear there's going to be something else. And thinking forward, what would you do differently about making a second?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd love to make make it with the intention of these songs are going to go on this album, as opposed to, well, I spent 2 years making a bunch of songs. Now let's just cobble together the best ones. I'd like to intentionally write an album. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That I've made an album similar to the way you did and put together piece songs over a period. I'm kind of doing it right now. I've been doing it for 13 years. I still haven't released this album, so I know what you mean. But it is a
You
very.
need Mike.
I do. Well, that's what I did reach out to him afterwards. Like, you know, I'm very close to finishing it. It's a lot of songs, man. It's going to be a double vinyl album. It's ridiculous. So anyway, that's another story. So look, I'm very excited to hear that, you know, we're going to get more from you. I love the album. I think it's fantastic, folks. All not everything's in the description. The links to get the album on vinyl and CD, the links to streaming services, all of Jude's links are down there in the description. So please go and support him. Go and check out his music. Go and buy something. Do you have it on Bandcamp?
I do not yet.
You need to get it on Bandcamp, because I'll tell you why. Because what I love about this community is people will buy it on Bandcamp because it is the easiest way to actually show gratitude with money, you know, and I see it all the time with this community. As soon as it's on Bandcamp, somebody will buy it. So it's free to do. So get it there.
Well, real quick, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me just thank everyone and anyone who did buy it. I really never expected anyone to buy this thing other than my mom, and I honestly don't know if she bought it, but thank you so much. That really just blew my mind to hear, you know, some people did let me know that they purchased it, and I'm just incredibly grateful. Thank you so much.
And
again, nothing to do with the 12 cents or whatever I made from it, but just the fact that someone would take the effort, put their money towards it, and then own my music. It's just incredible.
Well, I was lucky, mate, because as you said, we get everything a day early here. So it dropped way, you know, the day early. I had it straight away. I went to bed listening to it. I was sitting there just going, yeah, go Jude, man. I don't know. I get excited over stuff like that. To see a friend release their album, it was very, very exciting. And congratulations. I think it's a fantastic album. It's just been beautiful to watch your journey. And thank you again for coming on here and talking about it. And I hope to do more of these where people release albums and come on and we just have a short chat and promote the album. We are going to get out of here for today. Now, you chose today's last song called Bird on Fire. And is there a particular reason you chose this to be the last song today?
I just think it's, you know, you go out with the best. And I think this is the best. And you'll hear why.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Thank you, everybody, for being here at the premiere and supporting the channel. Remember, you can support the channel by sending a super chat or sending a PayPal donation, becoming a member, or even supporting me on Patreon. It really does help out all the stuff we do here on this channel, that we do all the stuff. What am I talking about? This is Bird on Fire. We're going to get out of here with this last song for today. As I say each and every time, firstly, thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring the show once again. And, my friends, do the things that make you happy. Oh, hang on a minute. I've forgotten something completely here. I was going to ask you the final question, and let's do that. Final question. You are stuck on a desert island. You don't have a volleyball named Wilson, but you've got the opportunity to have one album. Which album is it?
That's going to have to be, I would pick the Gorillaz Plastic Beach, because Gorillaz have a way of, you know, every song is completely different depending upon who they've brought in to collaborate with them. And David Albarn's just great. So I would pick them. And, you know, Plastic Beach is great. It's got Snoop Dogg. It's got some of the guys from The Clash. It's got Lou Reed. It's a great album if you don't know it. And you're on a desert island. Why not have an album called Plastic Beach?
I like your thinking too, because, I mean, if you picked an album that all the songs are very similar, I would need an album where all the songs are vary across, you know, to keep things interesting, because I reckon it'd be pretty boring. The beach would get pretty old after about 30 days with eating coconuts. Nothing else. All right, my friends, say at the end of each show, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. We'll all rise together, and whatever you do, please, for the love of God, stay awake. And let's urge See you later.
Bird's on fire. We watched it spiral as it fell from out of the sky. It made you sad, a square-shaped tear fell in pairs from both of your eyes. On fire. A distant siren is sounding out across the forest tonight. A cloud rolls in, it's digital proud, in rhythm with the red blinking light. A bird's on fire. We watched it spiral